Hi and welcome here. I am Vanessa, I'm a content creator here at Decor Cabinets. It's my pleasure to receive you today, and Jasmine, to talk a little about AI. Feel free to ask us questions on chats. Jasmine, welcome here. Can you let us know a little about you?
Thanks, Vanessa. So I've been at Decor actually since 2012. 10 of those years I was doing kitchen design and moved into this role here. And I will say that I didn't really use AI at all because it wasn't a thing when I was designing. So today we're going to be looking at an overview of AI and different tools and different ways it can help you. So when I first was thinking AI in kitchen design, I don't know about you, but my brain automatically goes, the designing aspect.
Yes.
So there's so many other ways that we can use it. So today we're going to be looking at practical ways to work smarter and ways we can implement different types of AI in our everyday lives as for our kitchen designers. So we're going to explain why AI matters in design. It's not here to replace designers, it's just here to help. So it can help create faster ideation, easier visualization, smoother workflows, and helps you focus on the parts only humans can do: taste, style, and connection. So where does it fit in a designer's workflow? A little bit more in depth. So the early ideation can help you quickly explore styles, layouts, and visual directions before committing time to detailed design work. As you've seen in your experience with decor and designers in their work, there's a lot of time and effort that goes into the details. So sometimes that quick beginning stage of helping clients narrow down maybe what they want, it can be helpful. Client communication. So clarify ideas, simplify technical language, and create professional follow-ups. Again, there's so much technical information that as designers or people who order the cabinets, anything like that, we have a really complicated language, as you're aware of, and helping it really clarify for the homeowner and what they understand it can help with. Internal organization, so it can turn notes and emails and ideas into structured tasks, documents, and project outlines. And a really big one, I think, would be marketing and visibility. So supporting content creation, captions, and visuals that helps designers show their work and attract the right clients.
Okay, so we can say that AI can help you to translate your very complicated language for us homeowners and people that want to fall in love by a kitchen.
Definitely. I do feel like there is a good place for it, and we're going to explore some of those places that you can use it.
Good.
So what it can do, we're going to go over what it can and can't do. So generate ideas quickly, refining wording and formatting, visual exploration, automate repetitive tasks, process large amounts of information quickly, or generate options, ideas, drafts, variations. So we're going to see a couple different images on the slides, and we're going to kind of touch base on what some of those images are and what they're doing. And this presentation is available if someone wants to have a copy of it so they can look a little closer at the images. Just let us know here and we can send it to you. So here's one really quick one. So using the Room GPT is an example of texture swap for material transformation. So something as simple as your flooring can really change how the space looks. Here now we can quickly see a wood floor versus a tile floor like in this example. I think it's just really helpful for some of that visualization. Depending on what the type of program the designer uses. So all that I have experience with is 2020 or Syncly, whatever you're familiar with the name. And those renderings take a really long time. And you might not be able to actually have a whole view of what the flooring looks like. So something like this Room GPT to even just change the flooring, even though it's not really part of the kitchen design, but the overall design, it can help a client. So what it can't do. It can't replace the creativity. It doesn't understand subtle client tastes, can't make value judgments. It can't perfect the final design. It doesn't understand real world constraints. Like if a homeowner would put their own kitchen into ChatGPT or something like that and ask it to redesign a kitchen for you. It's not going to know what a designer knows if they go and measure and see the space and they see that there's a pipe maybe blocking something, or maybe your range can't move. Those types of real world constraints that obviously AI isn't going to know. it won't know accurate cabinet sizing and proportions, and it just doesn't carry the same responsibility. Designers will still carry it. So look at this image really quickly.
Okay.
You'll see a line drawing. This was done many, many years ago, and I just wanted to play around. So I threw it into ChatGPT and I gave it a prompt, and even that, learning prompts is a whole other world too. But what the prompt was asking it to create a photorealistic rendering, keeping all the details exactly the same. That is so important. I said that in my prompt. I gave it the swatches of what it should look like, gave it the wall color, and this looks like it could be someone's kitchen, right? It looks like someone could live here. I think it did a really good job adding in extra details, making it look a little lived in. And even as designers and as people who've processed orders, like it has all the right applied panels. I feel like it kept actually a lot of the details, and that's great. And even the sizing, like I've done this exercise a couple months ago, and how much AI has changed even in those few short months, and the ability for it to keep the proportions, at least in this example. I feel like it's done really well, but it is missing a light balance.
Yes, I can see that.
So as a homeowner, you might say like, oh, that looks great, I'll sign here, but it's those small details that make up the kitchen and all the different parts and components and stuff like that. So I feel like it did a really good job of giving kind of an overall feel and giving it kind of what it could be, but it's going to miss details.
Yes. Can we say that AI can bring more emotion to your project,
Yeah,
making someone fall in love by the kitchen?
I do feel like, yeah, it gives you that, you get that feeling like, oh, this looks like my home, right? When I see line drawings, like that looks nice and all the technical details, but making it feel like home, adding those decor items by using AI is so quick. When I was designing with 2020, adding decor and decorations, it took a lot of time, and it took a lot of extra effort to search for what I wanted it to look at for. So by just basically, I told AI here, add some plants and some decorations in there, and this is what it did. I mean, you can get more detailed with your prompts, and once you learn, you can maybe do a better job, but for an exercise sake, I think it did a really good job.
I would say that you can see yourself cooking in this kitchen.
I think it did great.
Yes.
So for where it can fit into the design workflow, there's a lot of different parts and pieces. Many of our dealers and designers, they run differently. So depending on what you do, some places have where there's someone who just does the design work and meeting clients, and then they have an assistant that does all the details, like the ordering or sourcing things. Where I worked, we did everything from measuring, meeting clients, drawing, rendering, ordering. We did everything. So it can really kind of help in that whole workflow, depending, it doesn't really matter how it's set up. So with space planning, it can help with the visual design and concepting, can really help with visualization and photo cleanup. We're going to look at all these things yet. Can help with the writing and communication, documentation and specs, marketing and social media, and even the beginning stage of research and inspiration. So we're going to go over these next few slides of what it can do for you, and we're going to look at the different tools available, and then kind of examples of how it's going to do that for you.
Okay.
So we're going to look at what it can do for visual design. So these are 3 different tools that I found. And so Midjourney, DALL-E, and Canva AI mood board generator. So you can see on the left, I just had it made a mood board, had found a mood board made on Midjourney by AI. Looks beautiful, kind of, I think, again, like what you were saying, brings that emotion into it, like people feel that it's a very beautiful mood board, kind of helps them get that feeling and everything. Once you do start looking at details, you might notice some wonky things, but I think overall for a quick view of kind of maybe what your space could feel like, it's a good quick at a glance.
Yes, it's nice for you to have an inspiration how your kitchen or how your room will look like. Yeah, it's nice.
So on the left here is Canva mood board generator. So I just typed in mood board, and what this could help you would be build those mood board variations quickly and early on, just to kind of help with your client exploration, finding what they like, testing the color palettes. You could maybe make 1 or 2 for them, different materials, layout feeling in minutes, and visualize ideas before spending time sourcing those images manually. You can find inspiration pictures on Instagram, on Pinterest, on Houzz, on Google. They're everywhere. But often you have to kind of sell that feeling to the client, right? So if you're making them a nice mood board, for their overall feeling for their project, or even just using it for social media. There's so many different things that you can use the mood boards for, but it does take time. And again, there's so many details that go into designing that you're looking at. And if you can find different ways to kind of help implement and make your job easier, this is what we're trying to help people with today. So visual design, here's a little scenario. So an early client meeting, maybe the client is unsure between warm modern and soft transitional. So what I had done here was I took a picture of an actual kitchen and I put it into AI and asked it to generate 2 visual options. So I had it split the image down the middle and asked it to give it warm, soft, modern, and soft transitional. And I gave it some more information in the prompts. And like what I was saying, it's going to take time to learn how to prompt properly. I am still learning. There's so many different ways to get what you want. So you have to really work hard at figuring out how to prompt and get what you want. So here I said warm, soft, modern with a slab, natural walnut door style, keeping the hood as a white, and I gave it a different white tone like what's in our decor cabinet colors. On the right, I gave it different colors. I gave it just said shaker door style. And is this all the good details? No, but it really gives a nice overview to help a client go, oh, I'm kind of leaning this way or that way.
Okay, so it can help you even to choose like door style, species, color. It really can make your job faster.
Yeah.
And maybe easier because you are like taking the inspiration that your client have for the kitchen and then you are trying to build something very fast and very quick.
And just like what you're saying with fast, I feel like everyone wants stuff quickly now, right?
Yes.
Because we're so used to everything. I feel like everything is speeding up month by month, year by year. I feel like everything's speeding up. So as designers, you're trying to keep up with that. So something as simple as even just a little rendering, like I told you in my design program, it could take between 5 and 15 minutes for it just to generate the rendering, and it's not quite as good quality as this. So I think for general, quick at a glance, what style do you like better to kind of help lead you in the direction to spend the more time on the details. So it could kind of cut down on some of that back and forth in the beginning possibly. So space planning and concepting, a couple different tools. Room GPT, which gives you an instant room transformation, kind of like what you see on the right. So this example was just taken from their website, so I'm not sure on the prompts or anything, but it's kind of neat that you see it's the same space. You can see the window in the same place, the ovens in the same place, but it kind of gives them a quick overview. There's Planner 5D AI, and you can, I believe what I was looking a little bit into there is you can pop like a layout into there, and then it can give you some different ideas. Maybe especially for maybe a new designer starting out who is just kind of starting to get into the design world. Homestyle AI, so some 3D design assistants. So you can use them by exploring alternate layouts quite quickly. Again, everything feels like it has to be quick. Showing clients what if ideas without hours of drawing, and then can kind of translate rough concepts into visual direction. Photo editing and cleanup tools. So again, I've heard of some of these. Like I've heard of Adobe Photoshop Generative Fill. I have not heard of the Luminar Neo, but I have heard of Canva Magic Erase. So it's really kind of neat what you can do, because I think back, I never got into Photoshop, but I've seen videos. You can do so much with Photoshop, but it takes time. And if it's for something like you have a picture that you maybe just need a person out of it, that's so quick to do. So where would you use it? So removing clutter from project photos. Maybe you're taking a picture of a project a before picture, and you as a designer, maybe your stuff is on the table or the client is in the kitchen and you just kind of want to clean that photo up maybe for a nicer before picture. You could use that then. You can maybe fix some lighting in your pictures, the color temperature if you're not overly familiar with Photoshop and don't want to spend a lot of time with it. And you maybe just want to make that before picture look a little better. And then you could even just do some mock-up changes before committing to them. So testing different countertops or backsplash options, just kind of using it again, that really beginning stage and kind of helping lead the direction of where the project is going.
So you grab one photo and then you can try different ideas, countertops, colors, maybe appliances.
Yeah.
Is that what you can do?
I think just, yeah, but making sure that the clients understand this is just a general overview.
Okay.
But I just feel like that really helps it, because a lot of the times the clients are coming to the designers and they're needing some help with it, right? They're needing someone to take the lead, and it really helps kind of narrow everything down, because there's so much information out there, and it can kind of maybe help narrow that down for your client. Writing and communication would be a really big one. So again, ChatGPT, I feel like it can kind of do a lot of the different things. We have Notion AI and Grammarly. I have heard of Grammarly before, but I didn't realize it was AI.
Yes, it's a nice tool.
It is a really great tool.
Yeah.
So here's some different uses. So writing proposals, emails, or maybe design rationales, create client-friendly explanation of choices, simplify technical language.
Thank you.
That's a very big part, right? Because we can talk as either designer to designer or designer to your CSR who processes your cabinet orders. But it's really can help simplify things. And sometimes even just that brain power of writing an email and having that same tone, you can just kind of blurt out your thoughts and it can kind of clean it up for you. I really think it would be neat to test this Grammarly. That's the photo on the screen. So here I can see that there's different audiences on there. So I'd be very curious if you could almost generate your own audience as a homeowner, and it can kind of help do your emails or something like that. So I think there's going to be a lot of different uses and a lot of ways it can help clean things up and making a really consistent brand voice as your dealer or as a designer.
Make everything more professional.
Yeah.
And consistent.
Yeah, and then you don't have to think as hard.
Oh,
right?
This is nice. Sometimes you need to.
So some example prompts. Rewrite this proposal explanation in client-friendly language. Explain slab cabinet doors to a homeowner in simple terms. Shorten this email without sounding abrupt. Right? Sometimes we will write with emotion, and we can maybe write whatever we want and then have it just kind of make it really simple and easy to understand and take the emotion out of it. So here's another little scenario. So like summarizing meeting notes into clear action points, AI drafts a polished follow-up email, design rationale is rewritten in client-friendly language, notes converted into a clean task list or maybe a spec outline. So how it can help designer, again, saving time after meetings. I feel like designers have lots of meetings. Improve clarity and professionalism, reduce miscommunication, and creates that consistency across projects. So the designer will still own that accuracy, the final wording, approvals, and accountability.
And as a CSR, I can imagine that during your meetings, for example, you are dealing with so many details that maybe a small one you can lose. And then if you have a tool like this one, you can have everything on the right place, so you will not have problems.
Yes, exactly. So the other one would be social media and marketing. Again, we've touched base on this a few times, that designers, not only are they doing all the design work, they're also selling themselves.
Yes.
Right? So they could use ChatGPT, later social AI, Canva Magic Write. There was so much information out there that it was really neat to see, because I'm not super familiar with social media, just kind of the basics of how much work goes into social media. There's so much work in scheduling and captions and creating content. So that's what it can help you with, is drafting those caption ideas, brainstorming content themes, turning your photos into ready to post layouts, even maybe just creating a blog outline or summary. There's so many different tools. Again, I feel like if someone wanted to take time to actually read these quick screenshots of what's in here, there's a lot of really cool examples of how you can use it. You can use it for documentation and specs. These are things, I feel like that's where I'm a bit more old school, and I feel like people, they really like to kind of maybe keep things close to themselves, and it's hard to give up because we're still learning AI. AI is still new, but there's ways that can help you, and I feel like I would be doing a lot of double checking at the start. So there is Notion AI, ClickUp AI, and Monday AI. Those are different ways that you can help really streamline things by turning design notes into clean documents, summarizing your meetings, and even converting sketches into task lists. So this bottom left image was really neat there. And I'd be really curious how that works. So I've seen a bit online how people will use AI to just basically kind of record your meetings and it takes notes. I think that would be really neat to be able to set your phone down, still take your notes by hand, you know, maybe you're sketching stuff out as the client is talking, but having it maybe be able to really simplify that and create like, not only just make maybe bullet point of your notes, but maybe kind of categorize it and kind of put it into categories like these are the kind of the overall view of what the client wants. These are the types of finishes they want. These are things they don't want to budge on of what they want. These are things that they want to get rid of. I don't know, just it could help kind of put things not only into point form, but also into categories so it'll be easier to read it later. Because like you said, there's so many details that go into design meetings that it's just everywhere and they're conversations, so it's going to flow, and I feel like it will help condense that flow of conversation into easy to read notes.
For sure.
You could also use it for research and inspiration. So Perplexity is a research assistant. That was a really cool one that I found. There's Pinterest AI search and House Pro AI. So Perplexity, that was a really cool one. That's why I took the screenshot here. What I had done was a really, really basic, you know, you're trying to think of ways to test these. So I pretended I was like a homeowner, and you could even use it and ask your homeowner you could tell them what they could use. I said, what's a better fridge, LG or Frigidaire? You know, super basic, very broad question. And it kind of prompted me with questions, and it gave me a really nice breakdown between the two brands and everything like that, it was really cool to see. So you could even ask your homeowners to use that tool, or if you are maybe thinking about, because sometimes the homeowners will come to you for advice on maybe something that isn't quite your niche, but you can help them. It can also help with studying material comparisons. Again, really good maybe for new designers who don't know all the things, right? Difference between quartzite and granite and quartz and pros and cons, because I feel like there's so much information out there, and often the client will trust you. So sometimes it's a bit easier to help maybe get that information for them. Or even just creating a style summary. There's just so many different broad uses for it. So the overall pro, it will really help save time on repetitive tasks, speeds up the ideation and presentation prep, really helps with making communication easier, especially for clients who think visually, boosts confidence exploring new ideas, more time for designers to focus on clients, which is big, I think. And then the improved consistency in documentation and communication. I feel like having that consistent brand voice is important, and how you present yourself, how you present your emails and your communication with clients. Again, I just want to take one more quick pick. There's just couple more images to look at here. So the bottom right was a line drawing from a designer. You can see like wonderful detail. To me on the bottom right, that would be enough to sell. I feel like as a client, I would know what I'm looking for. I can see all the details. I get a good view of the color, but sometimes you just want to play around or see what you can do. So I asked it, ChatGPT, to create a photorealistic image. And I think it did a really good job. There just might be the odd thing missing, like to the right of the range on the line drawing is 4 drawers, where the photorealistic rendering is only 3. So again, really just kind of driving home that it's a really good, quick tool. It's really good for that overall view, but like you're saying, there's so many details, many details that it's just never going to capture it all. And it's just a good tool for that beginning process.
I can feel the emotion by the photo, but for sure, I cannot buy a kitchen with a photo. I need a project.
Exactly.
I need elevations to be safe.
Exactly, all those details. And this is another really good example. So bottom right, it was a quick color rendering. It's beautiful. It's a beautiful kitchen. I feel like you see the details, you know what's in there. But when I put it into ChatGPT, again, I gave it the door style, just said like a shaker door. I gave it swatches and finishes and asked it to keep all the details the same. I told it, keep all the details the same. That's what I always put in my prompts if I'm trying to do any renderings. And you can see it missed the mark.
I can see frame doors. Where are the frame doors?
There's some doors with glass, but there's some that don't have it. So it's not always going to do a good job. So you have to think about how it can help you And I do like to think about also the environmental impact, because as we all have been made aware is how much energy and water AI takes. So I do try to be a little bit cautious with what I'm using it for. And again, really more for helping maybe create a bit more of a quicker process, but I don't want to rely only on it, because some of the cons would be if you're relying on it is it can produce obviously inaccurate layouts or unrealistic designs. If a homeowner uses it and asks ChatGPT to design them a kitchen, it could have that unrealistic expectation. Like they might think an island fits when it doesn't. You could risk your designs looking really similar if you're only relying on it. Could just have generic results without strong designer direction. Again, learning those prompts and how to prompt it. And overly relying on it can really weaken your design skills. So I still would want to practice rendering and decorating and all those things especially if I was a newer designer. But it does take time to learn these tools. Like we've shown you, there's so many different tools out there. You almost have to figure out what is going to be the best way for you to implement it if you want to implement it, and maybe stick to one kind of avenue. And I feel like another really important one would be privacy considerations. So making sure you're not uploading anybody's private information, like names, addresses, phone numbers, anything like that. I feel like once you put something on the internet, it's out there. So the best practices on how to keep your work feeling human. So you're going to use your AI maybe for the first draft, but making sure it's not your final draft. Always layer your own taste, expertise, and storytelling. When I was selling, you're always relating. You're having those conversations with clients. Sometimes you go back and forth of storytelling between either yourself or maybe past clients, and it can help build that connection and help them come up with maybe other solutions. Treat AI visuals as ideas. Obviously, you're not going to use it for a construction drawing. Keeping client details generic. And then always reviewing everything for accuracy. AI will still be making a lot of mistakes. So overall, where to start. So if someone's really wanting to kind of think that I'd like to implement it, I don't know where, how do I start? These would kind of be the 4 areas I feel like someone could do that. So asking AI to maybe rewrite a long email into something shorter. Create some quick mood board alternates, summarize a client meeting, or even trying the generative fill to clean up a photo. So at a glance, these are all the different tools we've talked about today. Again, I haven't personally tried them all. I've just been learning more about them, and there's so many tools out there. I feel like once you kind of figure out what you'd maybe like to use AI for, that could help you, finding that tool and maybe learning one tool. And again, you'd also have to decide, are you wanting to maybe try some free versions, or are you willing to sink a little bit of your money into it, a little bit of an investment for that tool, so maybe it's quicker, like the free version of ChatGPT is slower than the pro version. So figuring out how you want to use it. But I do feel like there's a lot of different tools out there for different ways, and maybe finding something that could help you.
So your overall idea is we have a lot of tools, maybe choose your weak point, choose one tool, and then develop yourself and be a greater designer by using AI, but maybe for one specific field.
I agree with that, exactly. Just finding one way that it can kind of help you.
Okay.
So my closing thoughts would be, just like what you're saying, AI is a tool. It's not the designer. I don't think it's here to take our jobs. Creativity and intuition lead. So you're still going to have that creativity, and maybe AI can just support you and help get your vision across. And it can help lighten your workload. So keeping your vision and just being cautious and checking over things. So the best outcomes happen when your creativity guides and AI can help support you.
Awesome.
So I hope that you feel like you learned something today, and that our viewers at home can maybe find different ways they can implement AI to maybe help lighten their workload. But overall, I feel like we need to know what's out there. Even if you're not wanting to use it, I feel like knowing what's out there, knowing what it can do is helpful as well.
Thank you, Jasmine. It was an honor for me to receive you, and thank you all for your audience. See you next.